Hi, I'm Stephanie, and I really like books. So, I've been wanting to make book content for a while now. I was really into Booktube when I was younger, and I figured I can do that too. So, I set up my laptop, my family's laptop, and I filmed myself on the webcam talking about Fallen by Lauren Kate. I don't know why I thought anyone would want a review of a book, especially Fallen, from a 12-year-old, but I don't know. When you're 12, you're a different person. No offense to the 12-year-olds out there. I miss it. Anyway, I I had it filmed and I tried to put it on YouTube and it didn't work. I don't know what the deal was. It just wasn't happening. So I was like, oh, well, there goes my booktube career. Bye bye booktube, I guess. So I didn't try again. And that was probably for the best. At the time, that was probably for the best. But now I'm older and wiser, if you will. But also, I've been living alone for like a month now, and I'm going insane. I've been talking to the walls. So I figured it's time to get over your fear, Stephanie. Like, let's get over it. No one cares. Just talk to a camera. Stop talking to the walls. So now I'm here, talking to my phone. I figured the best way to start a booktube channel would be for me to talk about my favorite books so that you, as the viewer, can see what kind of books I like. And then you can be like, oh, I don't know about this girl. Or you can be like, oh, that's my kind of reader. And then we can have like a little community and be so cute. So I've compiled a list of 10 books that I consider to be 5-star reads. But they're like the 5 stars that just like plant a seed in your brain and just stay there. They're excellent. These are the ones that I think about constantly, and these are also the ones that if you were to ask for a book recommendation, I would recommend you one of these. So without further ado, let's get into it. To start, I want to give an honorable mention to the Percy Jackson series, Percy Jackson and the Olympians, and the spin-off Heroes of Olympus by Rick Riordan. I loved these books. These are like the books that got me into reading. They hold like a very special place in my heart. I haven't read them in a while, so I can't really say if these are like the best books of all time, but like for younger kids, like middle grade, you're past the age where you're done. You're fed up with reading about that rat and like Goosebumps. You're ready for more. Percy Jackson is where it's at. And he is still pumping out those books. I need to like reread and get caught up. But it's a lot. Like there's Percy Jackson and the Olympians, which is 5 books, and then Heroes of Olympus, which is another 5 books. And then there's the Trials of Apollo, which is another 5 books. I never read Trials of Apollo. I was getting old, so I need to reread them because I do love them, and they forever will be in my heart, in my brain. I love them. I love them. That's my honorable mention, Mr. Percy Jackson. Let's get into my top 10. And these aren't really in any specific order. They're all like kind of equal in my brain. So this isn't like 10 through 1. It's just like they're all 1. I Must Betray You by Ruta Sepetys. This is a YA historical fiction novel set in Romania during the late 1980s when their like communist government was starting to crumble a little bit. Like it's set like right before and during the revolution. that happened in Romania around that time. I don't know if anyone knows much about history. I didn't know anything about communism in Romania. I just picked it up because I thought the title was interesting. This book follows a teenage boy who is essentially blackmailed into being an informer for the like secret police force. So they want him to like keep an eye on his friends and family and report back to these secret police icky men. He meets an American teenage boy whose father is like a political embassy person. I don't know the official title, but he starts learning more about the outside world, and he's realizing like they don't have to be living the way they are in Romania. So when he's like kind of forced into being an informer, he's conflicted because he doesn't want to rat on anyone, but they're like threatening him. So it's like, does he betray his family and friends and the other people at his school, or does he fight? You gotta read the book. You gotta find out. But this book was it's very suspenseful. It was very suspenseful. I read it very quickly. I don't normally read books very quickly unless they're really good. And I was just like stressed out reading this. I was like, what is gonna happen? What's the deal? Like our main character suspects someone's informing on him as well. So it's like, it's everyone just kind of like betraying each other. Like what's going on? And it slowly leads up to the climax of the story, which is just as stressful in my opinion. You know, you want everyone to be safe and happy, and it's just a lot. It's very emotional. I had a lot of feelings while reading this book. Ruta Sepetys is a great author. This is the only book I've read by her, but she's written a lot. So I want to pick up more. I want to pick up more of her books and just have a good time. Because her writing is very good, especially for like the YA genre. YA for me is very hit or miss. Obviously, I'm not like the target demographic for YA anymore, but I do read YA sometimes, and you'll see that in the list. There's quite a few YA. So yeah, but yeah, I Must Betray You, Ruta Sepetys, 10 out of 10. And the ending was very satisfying, in my opinion. Because for me, endings are very like, a lot of endings are very meh. They're just okay. It's over. Like a good ending is very hard to nail. And Ruta Sepetys, she did it. Thank you, Ruta Sepetys, for making this book. I love this book. Everyone should read this book. Ace of Spades by Faridah, Àbíké-Íyímídé. This is another YA. What can I say? Some YA is excellent. This book kind of got me back into reading. I read it around the time when I kind of like wasn't reading a lot in high school. I was depressed, but especially during COVID, I really got back into it again. And this was one of those books that kind of stuck out to me during that time. It's about two students, these two, Chiamaka and Devon. They go to this like rich white private school. They're the only two black students, and they come from different backgrounds. So like Chiamaka is rich, like her family is well off. Obviously she is still black. And Devon, he comes from like single parent background. He's more of a scholarship kid. He just really likes to play music. So they're very different characters, but they end up having to come together because they both start receiving these anonymous messages that are kind of threatening. Not even kind of threatening, they are threatening. And then sometimes like they just get will have photos of themselves being sent to them, and they're like, oh my god, like I'm being watched. What the heck is happening? And this was her debut novel as well, I believe. And it's really good. And again, the writing, I was just like, I was like, what's gonna happen? Like, what's happening? The writing was very good. Again, especially for YA. It didn't give like the writing that just feels like talking. You know what I mean? I was bamboozled the entire time I was reading this. I was like, what is even happening? Because as the story goes on and the plot that seems to be against them starts to unravel, you're like, why are people putting so much energy into this? It was shocking to me. And this book I feel like is also very relevant, especially for the conversations a lot of people are having, especially on the internet, because of like politics. You know, I've seen a lot of talk about eugenics on social media, specifically about a jeans campaign, but I'll get into that. So this book, very much, very relevant. 10 out of 10. I love this. I still think about it. I made my former roommate read it. She loved it too. Excellent, 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 excellent. 10 out of 10. Would read again. The Pull of the Stars by Emma Donoghue. This book is set in Ireland during the First World War when the Spanish flu was going around, and we follow a nurse, her name's Julia, who works in this like maternity ward for pregnant women, obviously, but they all have the flu. So her job is kind of not great, but you know, she's doing her part. She's going to work. She's taking care of these women. It's great. So throughout the book, we follow like 3 days in Nurse Julia's life, and her life is kind of just like not great. Obviously, I don't think anyone's life was excellent back then. You know, in her personal life, her brother just came back from the war and he's not talking. Then at work, she's just seeing all these women just like not being treated properly. So a lot of these women, like there's some of her patients, they're like on their 12th kid, or another had, I think, just like a garbage husband. One of them was having a child out of wedlock, so the church wanted to take the baby. So during these 3 days, we kind of see Miss Julia here. She kind of unravels and she reaches a breaking point and she's just fed up. And like the book itself, it's very slow. It's very slow, but it is so worth it. Just like the narrative of it, the way that everything, like you can feel the tension increasing as the book goes. It's so good. I love it. I love historical fiction. But I think about this book a lot, especially the ending. The ending really got me. I love it. 10 out of 10. I would recommend, especially if you want like kind of sapphic, gloomy, sad book.
Huh?
Small Things Like These, also set in Ireland, but in the 1980s instead. And what's interesting is like there's also issues with the church in this book. So Small Things Like These follows a man named Bill. He delivers coal for a living, and he one day is delivering coal to the church, and he stumbles across this young girl kind of in distress, but you know, the nuns at the church are like, oh, everything's fine, everything's fine. And then the people in town are like, yeah, just like, it's none of your business. Just leave it, it's fine. So he does leave it. But then the next time he delivers coal to the church, finds another girl in distress. You know, she's like locked in the coal shed. So, and again, he's told everything's fine here. Everything's okay. This girl asked Bill, she's like, can you ask about my baby? So I think he starts to realize, you know what, things are not looking great here. So the book, it's very small. It's like 120 pages or something. It's small but mighty, packs a punch. See Bill grappling with his conscience and reflecting on his past. He just lost his mother, and his mom was a single parent who had him out of wedlock. So I think he realizes, like, if someone hadn't given my mom a chance, given her a job, she probably would have ended up in one of these churches. These were like the Magdalene laundries. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but they basically took fallen women in, abused them. I think they took their babies, messed up. So he's having like a lot of self-reflection, and it's set during Christmas time. So, Christmas, everyone, you're just like reflecting on a lot of stuff during Christmas. It was perfect, in my opinion. This book is perfect. The ending is lovely. Like, I wasn't expecting to like this book as much as I did. But like I felt like I got hit by a brick. Thank you, Clarke Keegan. I love you. 10 out of 10. I think everyone should read this book. And like, just read it. It's so short. It's going to take you no time. Just read it. It's so good. And they just made it into a movie with Cillian Murphy. We all love Cillian Murphy, right? So just read it. Just read it. It's so good. Sadie by Courtney Summers. This book is about Sadie, obviously, but it's told in like dual timelines, essentially. So we follow Sadie and we follow West, who is making a podcast about Sadie because she has disappeared. So in Sadie's chapters, we follow her as she is hunting down the man who killed her younger sister. Then in West chapters, we are following him as he is interviewing people that Sadie came across on her journey and trying to just piece together where she is, what happened to her, what she was doing. The book, it's very good. It's also like disturbing. I would recommend you look up trigger warnings for this one because I don't think the synopsis mentions any of it. I really liked the overall message for this one though. Also, it's like, believe your daughters. Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. I was scared when I first started this because a lot of book talk books I have read have been flops, in my opinion. And I had a friend who read this and she was like, I didn't like it. So I wasn't trying to like go in with like, this book's gonna be amazing. I think that was good because I was surprised. I really liked this book. So we follow Piranesi, who he lives in this really weird world. It's just hallways and statues. But he's fine. He's just venturing around. He loves his hallways, he loves his statues. And there's like one other person that lives in these halls with him that he calls the other. And they are searching for like the meaning of life or whatever. I don't remember what they were studying, but Piranesi's like, I'm just glad to be of help. Lovely guy. And then eventually during his travels in the halls, he realizes, oh, there might be a third person here. And, as he's venturing, he starts covering like clues and aspects of his past life that he doesn't seem to remember. And he's like, wait, who am I? Who is the other? Oh, where am I? And I really liked it. It's small. It's a short book. And I thought Piranesi as a character was just so lovable. Like especially at the beginning of the book, there's just like a lot of moments where it's just him cataloging statues and hallways, and you're reading this and you're like, this isn't the most exciting thing I've ever read. But I was like, you know what? I like you, Piranesi. You're cute. You go off. Oh, yeah. Let's love the hallways. Woohoo! But then the book, it gets kind of sad. It's like, oh, Piranesi. I loved it. I understand why it's popular. I love it. It's just so weird. Just 10 out of 10. That's all I have to say about it. I loved it so much. I remember finishing it and I just was like, wait, this was so good. So I wasn't expecting it to be a favorite either. It just happened. I love when that happens. When you go in with just like very expectations and it just blows your mind. Loved it. 10 out of 10. Dark Room Etiquette by Robin Rowe. I think this is probably the like least popular book on my list here, but it is so good. This is also YA, but again, it's like a dark YA. And the writing is still excellent, in my opinion. We follow the main character, Sailor, I think, who gets kidnapped. It's not great, but we follow like the before, the during, and after. So it isn't just like a kidnapping story, it's also a healing story, if you will. Like he's not like magically cured of every trauma by the end of the book, but it doesn't just leave you depressed, which I liked. The book, the story itself had me like, I was so sad and stressed for most of it. The first quarter of the book, we just kind of like see Sailor. He's just a typical like rich dickhead of a teenage boy. And then he gets kidnapped. And during this time, we see how his mental stability, if you will, changes because like you obviously you're going to be traumatized. You're not going to be the same person you were before you got kidnapped. He sees a lot of things. Basically, the guy that kidnapped him lost his son. So he's been kidnapping kids that look like his child. And it gets very messed up. And then eventually there's an after. And I really liked that about this. Like it didn't end with him being rescued. It was like, okay, he's rescued. Now he needs to start his healing journey. And his trauma like really messed with his brain. I don't want to get too into it. Just like I really like that there was an after with this type of story because it shows that there's hope in a way. You go through something traumatic, you are never going to be like the person you were before, but you can heal. And I really liked that. And I think the author is educated in psychology and I think she's counseled children. So it felt real. I really liked that. This book, it stuck with me. I think about it all the time. 10 out of 10. I think it deserves more hype. Go read it. Look up trigger warnings though. If it's going to trigger you, don't read it. Unless you want to be triggered. I know sometimes I want to be triggered. But I don't think that's healthy, so I'm not like recommending you do that. Okay. This is John Steinback's magnum opus. As he describes it. Like I think he said like every book he wrote before East of Eden was just practice. This was it. This was like the most ambitious novel ever. And it is. It's very chunky. I will give it that. I really liked this though. It's obviously it's all my favorites. I think everyone knows East of Eden, but if you don't, it's kind of inspired. I don't want to say it's like a retelling, but it kind of is of the Cain and Abel story in the Bible, which is like the two brothers that fight a lot, and then I think Cain kills Abel. I don't know. I am not a Bible person, so that's what I know. But we follow the Trask family, different generations. So we start and we have half brothers, Adam and Charles. Charles is very jealous of their father's love for Adam, so he's very violent. He kind of like beats up Adam. And then Adam, as he gets older, he has twin boys, Cal and Aaron. And it's like the cycle's repeating itself. You know, like Cal is seen as like the bad one and Aaron's the good one. The book analyzes how do I say this? The book analyzes, you know, free will or is it fate? Like, are we destined to be a certain way or can we make those decisions for ourselves? I think as a story, this is excellent. I know there's like that translation. If you read the book, you know what I'm talking about. That people are like, the translation's wrong. But I feel like even without the translation, the book still gets its point across. Like, you are capable of making your own choices. You aren't destined to be something. Like, no one is born bad. You can decide to be better. And I love that. I just had so much fun reading this. I was like, oh my god, go on. I don't know how I feel about like the miniseries that was announced where Florence Pugh is gonna be Kate and it's just told from her perspective. I don't know how I feel about that. East of Eden deserves a good adaptation. I know they made it back in the day with James Dean as Cal, but I think they ignored a bunch of stuff. I haven't watched it because I heard it's not a good adaptation. So, but I like James Dean. Rest in peace, icon. Anyway, this is a good book. Everyone should read it. In my opinion, just read it. It's so good. The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. This book, I've become an Outsiders girly recently. I watched the movie a while ago. I really like Ralph Macchio, but I didn't like the movie that much. I don't know why. I feel like it's just like, I don't know. Every time I watch the movie, though, I'm like, eh. But the book and the musical is what like opened my eyes. I really love the soundtrack. But I read The Outsiders this year in preparation to see the musical, which is like excellent, by the way. But the book itself is still like I feel like it still holds up. It's an older one, obviously, but it's it's very worth it. It's very accessible for everyone. Like if you are just getting into reading, you could read The Outsiders and have no problem because it was written, the author wrote it when she was in high school. So the writing itself is very juvenile. It's kind of corny, but it still works because the narrator, Ponyboy, is 14. So it does feel like a 14-year-old's voice. So the writing, it works for the book. The book itself, if you don't know The Outsiders, it's about it's set in Tulsa, Oklahoma in like the 1960s. And there's kind of like a gang war happening. There's the Socs, and they are like the posh rich kids. And then there's the greasers who are poor and they grease their hair and they're just kind of like there's like the cool guys. And our main character, Ponyboy, he's a greaser. He lives with his two older brothers. Parents are dead. And the greasers, they're kind of like a little family because none of them have a great home life. So there's like found family elements. I love it. But I feel like it's pretty decent commentary over like classism. You know, like the Socs were equally as involved in all the gang stuff, arguably maybe worse because like they were going out of their way to target the greasers. But the greasers were the ones that were viewed as like dangerous and they were the criminals and all that. So I really liked that. And then obviously there's like a moment in the book where the gang violence it escalates someone dies, Ponyboy has to go on the run, and I won't spoil anything, but I love it. Every time I think about The Outsiders, I'm like, oh, they deserve better. Oh my god. I'm like, they deserve better. That's how a book should make you feel. Sad. Anyway, moving along. Got The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. This is my favorite. This book is about Esther, who we start the book, she's landed a really good internship in New York for a magazine. So she feels like, I'm doing something with my life, I'm achieving my goals. But then, as we progress through the book, the cracks start to appear on her exterior. She's not doing okay mentally. So she ends up moving back home and just like reaching a breaking point. This book for me was just like insanely relatable. I don't know if that's like a good thing. It's probably like not a good thing. I've noticed, at least like from people I know that have read The Bell Jar, you're gonna like it more if you can relate. Because Esther is kind of a bad person, which is okay. We love messy women. We love them. I need to stop. For me, what especially like the fig tree analogy in this book is like, that's 5 stars alone. The fig tree analogy. If you don't know what the fig tree analogy is, it's kind of like how we have a bunch of branches and choices and on what we can do with our life and how our future kind of plays out depending on those choices. So depending on like a choice you make, you might have a great family, like a spouse, 2 kids, great, and like a lovely home, whatever. And another, you might have your dream job. You might be like a writer, or you might be traveling the world or whatever. Like our choices, they determine where we end up. And every choice we make can turn us away from a different path. And then that path is just dead. So the fig tree analogy, it represents that, but like with a fig tree where there's like these beautiful figs and each one represents an amazing future. And if you don't choose the branch, the fig, it's gonna die. And as someone who is overwhelmed by the future and my life choices, I read that and I was like, oh my god, someone's put it into words, and not just words, but like beautiful words. Thank you, Sylvia Plath. So yeah, the book, it follows Esther's progression from her New York dream internship to being institutionalized in a mental hospital. So she kind of reaches like the bottom of the barrel. Like the ending itself isn't the most hopeful in the world, but it's also not like yeah, your life's just gonna suck. It's kind of like if you want to live, you need to put in the effort. You need to want to live, you know? So I really liked it. Obviously, it's not like she was getting like shock therapy, which was like just so that was like, oh yeah, this book is old. I think it's like it was published in the 1960s. So it's not like the most modern um story about mental health, but the messages in it still hold up, in my opinion. The ending, especially, like you just gotta keep trying. You gotta just keep going, even if it sucks. Anyway, I feel like I said enough about that. Anyway, so those were my favorite books at the moment. Let me know in the comments what your favorite books are, if you have any of the favorite books that I do, if you hate the books I like, whatever. Just chat. Let's get to know each other's book tastes. And I will see, well, I won't see you, but you might see me, and I'll be chatting in the next one.